What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with a quick video in regards to finding success in the game, especially with me being free to play. I want to be able to share my insight and what has worked for me, definitely in the last few months, but as I've seen kind of the frustration from players with these new legendary events, Black Cat being the most recent. How do we get to a point where we can manage the events that are coming about, and as well being able to maximize them to the best of our abilities and making the most of it, especially if you're free to play like myself, or spending a little bit of money, so that way you are trying to catch up and get to that game. So having said that, guys, first and foremost, let me show you my score here so that way you can have it for reference. I am at 26 million total collection power, and my days that I've played in this game so far has been 1336. So that is over actually 3 years. But yeah, over that time, I've learned a great deal in terms of what has worked and what hasn't, and that's definitely what I'm hoping to share with you guys today. So let's get right to it. First and foremost, guys, I'm sure you may have noticed already, but I mean, this game, as fun as it is, there's just a multitude and many game modes that you need to be involved in. Starting from left to right, you have to be able to be, maximizing rewards in arena. There's raids that happen every day. There's challenges that essentially give you free rewards once you unlock them. We have campaign nodes if you're new to the game and just trying to get through most of the content, so that way you do unlock character shards. We have blitzing, that's kind of optional. But yeah, Alliance War, Alliance Raids, Cosmic Crucible is newer, and Real-Time Arena is not really involved. But then even after all that is done, we still have the Epic campaigns, which are essentially seen as like the end game modes, right? We have the Apocalypse Saga, ultimately unlocking Apocalypse through the Legendary Horsemen and their teams. And as well, we also have Dark Dimension, which in my honest opinion is probably one of the funnest modes to partake in. It's currently what I'm doing right now. I just got into it a few weeks back, but Dark Dimension is really cool because it unlocks some of the best characters in the game, and as well provides a boatload of rewards, especially if you're newer. So tons and tons of content, to say the least, guys. But I would say first and foremost, my biggest tip is just focusing on at least 2 or 3 game modes earlier on. So I know a lot of players get confusion, what do I do? Which team do I build right away? Well, honestly, at the end of the day, it depends on what your goal and focus is going to be. So giving that advice, you obviously can't focus on everything, but if I were to restart this game again, definitely 2 or 3 areas I would focus earlier on is 100% would be the raids, and as well as being involved in arenas. So there's a couple reasons for that. Raids happen every single day. Hands down, they are actually probably providing the most rewards in terms of bang for buck, in terms of involvement, but as well, you're getting rewards paid every day. So it kind of makes sense to actually do well in this mode. Your alliance also requires it, depending on where you rank with your alliance and how competitive they are. But there's 2 different raids that happen. There's a Greek one, and then there is also Ultimus/Doom/Incursion. So that ultimately just depends on where you are in the game and where your alliance is competing at. So having a good a multitude of different teams that can partake and find success in raids is definitely a great starting point. Another great starting point is also the arenas, because with arenas, and especially with this event that we've seen right now, tied back to Ghost Rider shards that's getting rewarded, doing well in arena allows you to actually get this resource that's called Power Cores, and that's going to open more doors for you as you progress in the game, because that's pretty much one of the only ways to actually earn a decent sized chunk of Power Cores each single day, outside of the milestones that you typically get, but that's all very minimal. So I think raids, arena. Another one that's become a fan favorite is Cosmic Crucible. The nice thing about Cosmic Crucible is that just being involved, even if you lose from a week-to-week basis, you're still getting rewards, which is big. And if you don't participate at all, is the only time you would miss out on the rewards. And then lastly, Alliance War is definitely one of the areas of the game where I can work on, but it's not my priority. And like I said, all the other game modes, blitzing and so forth, they're usually tied to events, but it's up to you how well you want to do on them. But hands down, I think having a strong foundation in either raids or arena starting off is gonna put you in a great position for success as you're building up these resources. Having said that, guys, there is a multitude of different teams. I mean, I'm sure if you go through your roster, you can see like we just have, characters and different team synergies. How the heck do we know which ones to build up? Well, again, that's why it's important to know which game modes you want to focus on, because depending on those game modes, then you can finally start honing in on, you know, what are the best teams for that game mode. So I think Raids is a really good example. So let me just show you real quick here. Building a strong foundation in Raids is going to allow you to find success, because not only can you use them in Raids, but they are going to have value after you build them up, and you can use them obviously in different game modes. So I'm doing the incursions right now, and with incursion Raids, you do need a specific team for each character trait. So for example, there's a mutant section, there is a bio section, then we also have a skill section, and then there's mystic and tech. So each of those sections needing their own teams, understanding what are the best teams for that meta. So for example, DevC right now is the meta for mutants. Rebirth is currently used for bio. We have invaders being used here for the skill. Then we have the mystic section being a mix of this is what I'm using that works actually. So you don't need some certain metas. The meta right now is Bifrost, but it's also making those recognition calls, that knowing that there are options. Just because there's a best team to use doesn't mean you have to use it. So I actually will show you later, but I haven't built up my Bifrost at all. The only member that's been built up is Val, and I recognize that, you know, you can obviously have options. Just because a new team comes out doesn't mean you have to build them. And then Bionic Avengers are kind of an option for tech, but not really, and that's why they're stopping at 900k there. I do have to mix and match with my team, but we're trying to get through that right now, hitting the 100% on 1.4. And keep in mind, guys, this is Incursion 1.4, so it's like the third hardest raid in the game, and these are the teams that work. And you can just see kind of the power differential, right? The reason I want to highlight this is because you need to also recognize that you don't need to build every team and character to the max just because you can. You know, I have about 60 million in gold. That doesn't mean I have to bring up my invaders. My invaders is at 740k, but they are actually just cruising through the 1.4 for incursion. So the point I want to illustrate here, guys, is that you know that there's a best team for a certain area. It doesn't mean you have to build them up as high as possible. And I think making that connection and that judgment piece is ultimately the deciding factor of what gives you flexibility in your account. Having said that, that is the next thing I want to segue into, is once you've decided which game modes that you want to have success on, which ones you want to thrive in, it's also understanding which teams you can skip and which ones you don't actually need to build up. So I was able to actually categorize all these teams. So I want to showcase for you for both the last two legendary events. So that's both the Nova Trials and Black Cat. These were the teams that were able to find success for me. And you can see I did not build them up to a crazy amount of level. They are not my best characters. The only exception here is obviously Kang for Masters of Evil, because I brought him in actually for my Dark Dimension 6. But again, I found an opportunity where there was value. So you can see, even with an 800k Masters of Evil team at the very top there, and even with a 790k of the Nowhere team, both these teams were able to get me the max milestones for the legendary event. So I didn't build them up as high as I possibly could. I found a happy medium where I could put in a healthy amount of resources, get some value out of it, and not also feel overstrapped. I overinvested, because they may just be good for these events or their certain mode, but that's it. And I think Nowhere is a great example, because Nowhere is simply a really powerful war offense team. And do I want to bring them up all the way? I mentioned earlier that war is not one of the more important game modes that I want to focus on, but I did see value in bringing up some of these characters, especially since they were part of the unlock for Black Cat. And as well, Nova is actually a character I'm planning to bring to Dark Dimension 6. So again, making those mismatches, I was okay in not investing in some of these characters because I knew that they weren't the best. And that, I think, is the biggest connection piece, is knowing that not every team or new character has to be invested in. And that's kind of why I organize all this, guys. So another good example is New Warriors. They got a big rework and buff this year. As you can see, my dev pool, my Cloak and Dagger, those three in the middle, they're the only three that are built up. I didn't bother with Gwenpool and Firestar because as much as I am involved in Cosmic Crucible, New Warriors is also not a team I need. I can still get the job done. I can still be able to full clear my opponents. I think once that time comes when I do need to bring them up, or maybe there's another need for it, like Dark Dimension, then I'll bring them up. But I think that's the biggest factor, guys, making that judgment and recognition that not every character and team has to be built up. Next up, we got Infestation. The only reason why Black Widow's built up is because she's in my Dark Dimension 6 runs, and I did actually brought her previously for Dark Dimension 5, so it was nice that I got some value already previously. But you can see here, I'm ignoring Big Time Spider-Man, and then the rest is just, the only reason why Ant-Man and Yellowjack are even over 100k is because I use them in Gamma. So again, the Gamma raids, the Greek raids that I'm utilizing, I see other value. Now you can actually see where my Bifrost actually stands. I don't need them. As much as it would have been great to have them on a very powerful defensive Cosmic Crucible team, they cost a lot of Mystic Gear, and the only one I saw worthy of bringing is Val, because I brought Val into Dark Dimension 6. Val also has a revive, and now Val is the option for me to actually get my Mystic raids done in Incursions 1.4. So if one or two characters can already get the job done, why do I feel like there's a need to invest in a team that's not needed? That's obviously as we go higher, that's going to change, but your goals will change how you play and how you invest in certain characters. Another big one I don't have is Weapon X. And again, it's kind of back to my similar point that I made earlier on the offensive side. If I'm finding that a certain game mode is not my priority, and I do have enough teams, does it make sense to build up a team just because they're good? Not in my eyes. Not if they only have value in a certain game mode, and that's how you don't overinvest. I think that's just the hardest part, is like every player feels that these new teams are a shiny new toy and they have to invest. They feel that strap and that pressure, and I'm saying no, you don't. X Factor was another team that was actually an option for the Nova Trials. I didn't care. I knew that Masters of Evil was going to be the option, so just completely ignored it. Sinister 6, the other option for Black Cat, if you didn't have Nowhere, doesn't matter. They still do not have value in any other game mode. It just the only reason why Dr. Octopus is even over 100k is, again, Dark Dimension. So you have to find these other reasons for to build them up. This A-Force team, same thing. We saw them being utilized and required actually for Morgan Le Fay's Scourge. Doesn't matter. Web Warriors was the best one. Now that Photon's actually in the mix, that might change things up, because Photon being Secret Defender and A-Force, I like that. I really like the value. So you'll probably see Photon being built up, and I will probably bring her into Dark Dimension. So she's probably going to be the one out of the 5 that I'm bringing up. We have Dark Hunters here. Complete garbage. Can they have value in War? Absolutely. But again, a game mode I do not care about. Underworld, another team I skipped. Are they really good, especially Mr. Negative and Taskmaster? 100%. And especially with Kingpin getting the rework, yeah, I see a lot of value. Except, again, I don't have value for them because they're not involved in the areas I care about. We have the new Secret Defenders team here, and I think Black Cat and Photon are so far the only two I'm planning to bring up. But then everyone's going to be saying, oh, well, don't you care about Arena? Why aren't you building this team up? They're going to be the new Arena team. Well, my point is this. Well, if I already have a powerful team, and so far with Black Cat's release and the Secret Defenders, my ranking in Arena has not changed. So until I see that change happen, I'm probably not going to care. We do not need to be, I think the biggest point, guys, is that we do not need to be the best in every game mode. We just need to be good or great. My ranking has not changed since Black Cat came out. If anything, I've just been I've definitely been seeing Black Cat in more of the attacks here and stuff, but nothing has changed in the arena meta just yet. And as well, I just don't see the value just yet. So by biding our time, being strategic with our resources, it allows us to be flexible. So that in the future, when they do throw more events and milestones at us, one of my key priorities in the game is being able to excel at the new events that come about. That includes the legendary event like Black Cat, and that's kind of the why that I play the way I play, right? Understanding and recognizing that you don't need to build every team. You can skip teams, and it's okay. Has allowed me to find success, and even then, even when I am building up those certain teams, I found a comfortable level to build them up. So as I showed you earlier, my 800k Nowhere team was able to get me a 1.6 million score, right? And what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of the leaderboard? I'm still in the top 2,000. I mean, my goodness, like, you're telling me I can min-max a certain team and get to the top 2,000 ranking? That's exactly what I'm all about. Being free to play, finding the value, and as well, and that's the same for my Dark Dimension 6 right now. Like I did not, I'm one of the few content creators that did not bring in Big Apocalypse, and even right now, my ranking here, top 1,000. So, yeah, like I said, you can find a lot of success making those judgment pieces. Don't feel pressure to build a team or a character just because other people are saying you have to, or just because the game released them, because that's not true. I've consistently found success in the last 3 years, and I want to share this advice with you guys because I feel like a lot of the pressure and stress comes from the fact that everybody feels that a new team and a character has to be invested in, and no, they absolutely do not. I just showed you 10 teams that I skipped for the last year, and has that hindered my progress in anything? Not really. I guess I'm not the best war attacker. I mean, some of those teams were war offense focused, but again, my alliance is not 100% competitive in war. We're pretty, well, we still get 2 wins a week easily. So I mean, that to me is the value right there, guys. So I think finding that mix and match, finding the best ways to maximize the game modes you care about, and understanding your goals, that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And it brings me great joy when I'm able to compete at this level, being free to play, and knowing I don't have to overinvest in my resources. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope this sheds some light in how I manage my game and roster, but as well, understanding that at the end of the day, we don't need to be the best. We don't need to be the best in every game mode. We just need to be good or great, and you're going to find a lot of success, guys. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you as always for your support, and take care.